Hi there. So I am going through some of the statuses that I have written on social media, mostly Telegram and MeWe, and some of them on Instagram, some on Gab, some on Minds, over the last 2 or 3 weeks. So I'm going to read one of the statuses here and then discuss. Okay. I embrace division of humanity at this point. It is the physical manifested mirror to the cosmic energetic streams and has been foretold for eons. This is the great bifurcation. It is to be integrated, not transcended. It is to be seen and recognized for what it is and not ignored. So many say things like, love does not divide, or there is no division within the heart. And whilst this is true, they are missing the point. You simply cannot say rise above division when it is there in all things. Recognize it, embrace it, and utilize it. We cannot have boundaries without embracing the current situation on Earth at this time. Creating good boundaries, such as, for example, not allowing a person into your home who has been partaking of Jezebel's juice, or refusing to be manipulated into doing something you know is not in alignment for your highest good. I'm not suggesting that you do these things, I'm just giving them as examples for boundaries. Creating good boundaries is more crucial now than ever. If you get lost in love and light, believing that alone will wipe division away, then you are doing what is called spiritual bypassing. And you will come down to earth with a bang as the intelligence of life itself seeks to know itself through you truly knowing yourself. The great bifurcation, division of humanity is only one manifestation of this, is part of the inevitability. And our roles are not to ignore it, not to moan about it, or to pretend it doesn't exist. Our roles are to see it for the catalyst for opportunity that it is, and step forward through free will and choice into our destiny. So
there's enough of us on the planet and our numbers outweigh, and there's a lot of
they're growing too,
coming together. Yeah. And some of these protests happening all over the world are so huge, and they're not violent. These are just people that, and the violent ones are I don't know how they've been able to fool so many people with this whole BLM thing. And it just blows my mind because it's like there's blinders onto everything else. I don't quite understand it, but that's interesting because I was born in England. I've been to Scotland, and we're connected to the Brodie clan, the Scottish side of me. I don't know if you know the Brodie clan, but yeah, I mean, my boys are not going to have the chance to easily go over there either. And I wanted to take them there, and just, this is a big bummer for a lot of people who are world travelers or interested in traveling because of what they're doing. But I really think that, yes, there's a bifurcation, but there's a lot still happening where these two timelines are so close and connected where, there's going to be justice. There's going to be things taking place before a major split happens to keep the NWO from maybe getting worse than it is right now. I really do think that something is going to halt it and break this apart before there's any kind of major bifurcation, because we're not just going to split away anytime soon. I don't think, but there already is a split. Like, we're in different dimensions. We're in different frequencies already. So to me, like, the bifurcation is already happening, but we can still see each other, and we're still taking action for where they don't want to stand up and take action because they're complying and buying into it, because we want to protect future generations. It's like, if you guys can't step up to the plate, we're going to have to do it. But there's only it's so long that we can continue this, or else we're putting ourselves at major risk. And that's why the benevolent ETs have a hard time helping us here. And of course, they don't want to completely intervene, but they certainly are lending a lot of support.
Yeah, I mean, I have a deep confidence that we're going to come through this. I had a number of visions around 2000, crossing over into 2001 that winter, and then experiences since then, mystical experiences where clairvoyant experiences would be the best way to describe them, where I have seen this exact time period. I mean, now that it's here, it's kind of like, wow, this is it. But I have known that this was coming. I actually had a vision in which I saw 9/11 before it happened, and the 2008 crash before it happened, and this before it happened. I saw 3 specific mega events that were coming in the next 20 or so years. And that later that year, 9/11 happened, and exactly where I had seen that it was going to happen. I didn't see the planes and the buildings. I just saw a huge explosive event that happened in New York and spread darkness across the country. And then I saw another huge explosive event coming out of New York that washed across the country. That was this, the Great Crash. And then I saw a third wave, which was the biggest wave of all. But I saw that right before the third wave happened, there started to be all this fighting of the darkness amongst itself. And so I've long seen this period of time as a bottleneck. And so even though I have no doubt that the forces of good will triumph on the timeline of the organic ascended masters timeline, I also know that a great many people are probably going to experience a lot of suffering between here and there will be a lot of deaths. Unfortunately, I think that that's almost a certainty. And that's what some people signed up to come here and do now. I mean, this is all part of a greater orchestrated symphony at a level that's so far beyond the human mind. I mean, you have a picture of the cosmos behind you. We're both astrologers. I'm a Vedic astrologer. You do tropical zodiac, Western astrology of various stripes. And we know that we are this tiny planet on the fringe of a vast galaxy, of which there's millions or billions of galaxies with trillions of stars, with tens of planets around each of those stars. Like, this universe is vast beyond comprehension. And, I watched your interview with Freddie Silva, and he talked about how there's cycles within cycles. And we talked about how in part 1 that all these cycles are coming to a head. The great year's changing. Kali Yuga's ending. This 80-year fourth turning cycle is happening. There's just so many cycles that are all coming to a head right now. And we signed up to come here right now, including anybody watching this video. Even the people who are making the decision that to us seems foolhardy, they signed up to come here and to even play that role, which is heartbreaking for you and I. Right. And so I know that the forces of good will triumph, but I do think that it's going to be an extremely challenging time to get from here to there, even though I see by 2025, things are going to really change. So it's really this next 4 years where this really intense internal work has to be done. And so I wanted to ask you, Laura, I'm going to do a
Kirsten, I just want to add to any members of the audience who still find this kind of subject matter and have a hard time fitting it within their contextual framework. It's very important for people to realize that this year, 2021, is the year of the bifurcation of the reality hologram. You better get used to some very, very weird stuff. And this is about bracing yourself in the flame of pure truth, because if you're not equal to what's coming, you will perish. This is a very, very serious time in the alchemization process of our civilization. We're going to start to see the apocalypse unfolding in the coming weeks. To the genetic interventionism that's been taking place, not just with this late lethal cocktail masquerading.
That's part of it. It's also to do with 75 years plus of the Rockefeller Covenant, which was the
of air and soil and water, and building up this artificial chemical compounds in all biological systems. They've reached a threshold event. There is now going to be lower astral intervention into biological life forms in the 3D temporal plane. Things are going to start getting weird. You wonder why the cabal have been throwing trillions of dollars at the Skynet, at the kill grid, the 5G kill grid. It's connected to absolute alpha omega command and control, metadata surveillance, full spectrum intervention of every single isotope frequency issuing out of biological life forms. It couldn't be more serious and more comprehensive. So is it going to succeed? No, it's not going to succeed, because the Christed element of the human family is already overcoming that existential threat. But the point is that a lot of our brothers and sisters are going to be popping. And it's going to get very weird, very dark and very weird. In my estimation, the next 2.5 years to 2024, we better brace ourselves for some very odd, anomalous behavior breaking out in the streets. The business of understanding the genesis of the secret space program and all of what we're referring to, the dark fleet, all of that stuff, this is not new. This goes back to Sir Francis Walsingham in the 1600s. This is the spy master general under Elizabeth I and the Jesuits 400 years ago. This is a long incubation process, the secret space program. The fact is, the scales are falling from our eyes, and we're able to finally see this stuff that's been taking place in the civilizational basement.